Hey guys, it's Will. Hopefully you're having a great Saturday. In this video, we're going to go over what is RCAT, a drone company. Before we do, you guys can see the background behind me. We did get the appliances that were delivered. Still got to do some moving around as some of them are big and need to be hooked up. But definitely the background and the remodel behind me is getting closer. So really cool stuff. Now, take a look here. RCAT is this drone company that has had a lot of growth in the last few days. We were talking about it this morning and we've been covering it for a while now. I think it was January or December, maybe back around here. We started covering it. We saw it sell back down from these highs of $15 and then hold this overall uptrend. So really started taking off in 2024. They didn't do much before then, kind of just consolidating, maybe even selling off from that IPO back in 2017. But now I'm starting to see some growth. And we saw this big move. We were kind of anticipating up to this resistance level at really what is about not $10 just quite yet, but we saw it push up here to what was about $9 a share in a 37% move just in about 2 or 3 days. So really, really big for RCAT to see that continued move. Why is it? Well, there's three things we look at when analyzing a stock. The first thing that we will look at here on RCAT is the market they're in. The market of drone tech is growing very fast. And you can see some of the things here. Insights on drone applications, the market size of about 57 billion by 2030. That's also not including maybe military. I don't know if that's including military drones because that is something. Drone makers soar after Department of Defense releases new changes to U.S. military drone strategy. According to this recent article, I'm not going to go into it too much there, but basically, there's this DoD announcements that there's some big players. Maybe it's Kratos, you got Aero Environment, you got RCAT in this case, that had a lot of gains recently. And the DoD basically outlined in this article that there's new drone procurement strategies and that they're going to have increased focus on military drone capabilities. So it is really good for the market. So market overall looks fairly good. So then you say, okay, well, they're in drones, maybe even military here. The market's growing. What about the real world usage? What about the partnerships, all that? That brings us to step 2 of our analysis. So again, choosing a fairly good market, which is drones. Then you get into step 2, which can be broken down into A, the news. So we could look at RCAT. This is another article here. RCAT surged. There's a lot of hype articles, so you got to kind of watch out there. We know that RCAT recently partnered with Palantir, actually. So when you go to some of the recent articles, we'll go directly to the source here. You can just say they were announced production selection for U.S. Army short-range reconnaissance program. So they just got a new contract there. You can see on their site, they got this Black Widow here. They have a culture of advancement, and they have a really good site. Some of it is pretty 3D, and the orders that we've seen so far, we can take a look at this recent contract, haven't been huge orders. And that's going to bring us to another part of the analysis, which will be the financials. But just before we get into it, in this part of their recent press releases, they got this direct offering of common stock. So they're kind of offering their stock and selling it, which is fine. That's okay. Some people say, oh, that's diluting investors. That's not good. But it's okay. It's part of it. In fact, most companies succeed to the degree at which they're able to sell. And if they're able to get other investors to buy in for, I don't know what the average cost of the shares are. It looks like it maybe wasn't disclosed here. Then that's good. Now, in the last few months, we haven't seen a ton of new contracts, maybe some partnerships, We know they partnered with Palantir. They did some debt financing. There was like a $500,000 order with the US government, just for, again, small amount of drones, 130 drones, which works out to, roughly around, what does that work out to? How much per drone? If you got 130, it's like a little bit over, it's like $2,500 per drone, a little bit less than that. So they have premium drones. So not a lot of contracts though in the last little bit. So that's one thing to watch. They have a lot of really good hype. I would say a lot of articles. Their tech looks fairly good. They haven't come out with their new earnings, but that brings us to B of our analysis when we're looking at RCAT here, which is going to be the financials. So the financials for RCAT, you can see, yes, they've surged their market caps up to about $840 million. So just under $1 billion. And you can see the hype articles, they're there. There's a lot. They get compared to Palantir because of that partnership. But this is where we look at the financials and we see the revenue here. It's at around $5 million a quarter or less. Revenue even dropping as low as in the last quarter, about 1.5 million. So net income is negative, about between negative 5 million and even as much as negative 23 million. If you look at the annual in 2024, they had a pretty negative net income, which is fine. Developments, building out their infrastructure, maybe even manufacturing, that's normal. Then we got to look at the balance sheet. So when we're looking at the financials, the first thing we want to see is, yes, we know there's some real world usage, that they are getting some partnerships, they're selling some drones. But aside from the hype, do the financials make sense? I see more negative net income than positive. So income statement looks okay. The net income is negative and net profit margins are down about negative 480% per year. And revenue's down about 60% year over year. So the financials so far aren't looking favorable. Now, if we see one contract kick in let's say $20 million or $50 million, something like that, then this valuation makes even more sense. But we'll take a look at the balance sheet. But again, if they get some big contracts, then yeah, we could see this sustained price. Balance sheet. Their balance sheet actually looks fairly healthy. Yeah, it was decreasing in assets the last 3 years, but what we did see is they were able to kick them up, and we see them rise up to as high as $60 million in assets. Liabilities holding now under 25 million, which is fairly good. It's pretty healthy. You can see their total assets are up. The liabilities did rise quite a bit there, more than their assets. So not really the best trajectory right now from the balance sheet. We'd like to see maybe things clean up a little bit more on the liabilities, but not unhealthy. They actually look okay. The more concerning thing is the income that they haven't seen yet with the contracts. So B was the financials. A that we went over was the news. And now we're getting into C, which is the chart. Now, then we'll get into step number 3, which is the profit margins. But what we could see with, and the risk, what we could see with RCAT, again, overall uptrend, it's been holding really back here since March. It found its bottom and it's been continuing up. We did just see it make this big move and potentially continue this trend up here. One thing to note, it's got this kind of support level right here that you can kind of see right here. So you got support in this area. You got another support right here. Then you got that same support acting as a resistance right here. So previous support oftentimes acts as resistance. Then you got, maybe some resistance there acting again, and then it broke above, then acted as a resistance, continued to sell down, and then recently we take a step back. You can see this resistance here and support we mapped out. It's well above that now. So I would say that would be the next level, that if it's going to find support, it would be at that $7.50 range. Now, obviously, the RSI right here is looking way overbought. The MACD is looking overbought with that move that we just saw. And we could see something similar to last time it made this run up into that $9 range, that we see a pullback. Last time we saw it get up to this exact price point, it pulled down as low as $7 before continuing back up to that $9.50 range. Not to say it's going to repeat perfectly, but those are the levels that you'd want to know. Now, when we're trading it, when we look for those levels, we're also watching kind of the key levels at which it get rejected. We see this consolidation in here where it's had previous consolidation, and really it's a resistance level right here that we see map out. So then you got that resistance at $9, and that's kind of just right in this $9 zone up here. I would say at the moment, it looks like it's a little overbought. Even with that Department of Defense news, it would make sense that we could see them pull back down more. So RCAT from perspective now, maybe some good trajectories long term if they continue to get the financials good. But from the partnership perspective, things look good. Just need to actually start bringing in some income for the investment to make sense for the long term. In the near term, volatility is expected. I would most likely expect a sell down. And so I think the risk might be a little bit higher right now than reward. If we're looking at it near this resistance, a sell down to here would be about 15%. If we're looking at a breakout, let's say, and we get it to see this breakout kind of take place here, I can just delete this. If we see a breakout take place, we're looking at previous highs up into these levels. Really, the next target would be up around this range. You kind of see that resistance there right here at about $11 a share, which if it breaks out to those levels, we're talking about a 20% potential continuation. But again, looking a little overbought. If you do get in with that near-term volatility expected, why you'd want to be extra careful is because in this big spike, a correction or basically an equilibrium, I've seen it shoot up, and what goes up must come down. It would make a lot of sense to see a pullback there. So just keeping that in mind. There is a potential consolidation here where it could find some support here at this resistance consolidation around 850 where it's at currently. And if it does, great. Then I guess the next target would be up here in this level, the continuation, which is at a 13% margin for profit. And then when we do that, we like to manage risk accordingly. And we do that because, even in the near term, volatility is expected, but we'd want to look for that surge, but it can come down very quickly. So if it does, we want to have that risk managed. And that's what we look for. We'll be watching at market open. A lot of the big moves happen there. If you guys want to know how to trade, so that's the margins for profit. That's kind of the risk and what we'd watch. If you guys want to know how to trade AI stocks, quantum computing companies, as well as we do a lot of robotics and space tech, especially this past week, even aviation, just the cutting edge companies, then I would encourage you to check the second link down below for Stockmates. If you want to learn how to invest, we go live every single morning at market open. And in Stockmate, you get really a lot of good stuff. You get some books here. This is one I wrote before ChatGPT. Kind of gives you a good idea of ordinary versus profitable, having a trading plan, as well as the mindset, how to learn. We even go into things like emotional IQ, which seems to be very helpful for most people. And we got some really good conversations happening in the group here. If you ever want to surround yourself with other investors, we go live every single morning at market open, Monday through Friday, to trade live. If you want to watch me trade live, it's there. And you get the targets for each week, the different companies that are reporting, when they're reporting, either pre-market or after hours. And on top of that, you also get a free t-shirt that I'll send to you internationally anywhere in the world. And again, it's the second link down below, and I would love to see you there at our Monday session. Right now, you can get lifetime access. That is something that we are transitioning towards recurring. So just to keep it nice and friendly and smooth for you guys, we do have that available for a limited time if you want to get lifetime access to the recurring daily live sessions. Now, on top of that, we also launched The Machine. If you want to learn about AI predictive analysis, it's the first link in the description for the full breakdown. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully I earned your thumbs up, and do consider subscribing down below. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.